We're going to get started because it is around 1:30. We're also going to be taping this thanks to Franklin TV that will allow you to look at this presentation afterwards. So if you have the opportunity to do so, you can. Also, please wait for your questions till after we have all the speakers speak. Therefore, we can then get to you in an orderly manner, and we can write down the information that you're providing us with and so forth. So we have a couple more people. Okay. Well, good afternoon, and thank you for attending this program on the Franklin Ridge Senior Housing Project. I'm John Jewell. I'm the developer of this affordable housing project, which will be located, as most of you know, on Veterans Memorial Drive, next to Eden Place. I want to first, before I start the presentations, I have some people to thank that are very important already to this process, and that's Sarah, Jillian, and the Senior Center team for hosting us. And it looks like we had a great turnout based on their efforts to get people out for this presentation. I also want to recognize the efforts of the project's biggest champion, Jamie Helen. Jamie, there you go, because he really did provide an enormous amount of help here. He spent hours calling and educating local and state leaders on the importance of this senior housing project. And because, we started this back in 2018, look how long it's taken us to actually start construction, which we did in early December. But all that effort was because we had so many people, headed up by Jamie, and also town council support, all the boards and committees that worked on this project, the DPW that worked with us in many different levels, including the extension of the roadway that allowed for this project, and also the senior community yourselves, who supported this project throughout all its different applications and discussions. It was that significant support that got us to where we are today. I want to thank Jake Achikos, along with State Representative Jeff Roy and State Senator Becca Rausch, who ensured that Franklin Ridge received the critical federal and state financing that was necessary to make this project a reality. And finally, to the Franklin Municipal Affordable Housing Trust, which provided the land in additional local funds, along with Community Preservation Committee, for this project that we used as a local match to get all this state and federal funding that this project had. Now let me introduce the speaking team that will be talking today. And please, again, hold your questions till after. But we're going to have a presentation from the project architect, Lucio Tribuco from Tribuco Architects LLC. And then we're going to have a presentation from our management team, the Community Builders Property Management. And as you probably know, Community Builders is a very large nonprofit developer and development and a management team that has done over 25,000 units throughout the New England and Mid-Atlantic area. And so we're a very experienced team, and Dan and Myra will be talking to you on this. Dan O'Boyle is the Regional Director of Community Builders Property Management Group, and Myra Moreto Bourgeon is Director of Leasing and Marketing for the Community Builders, and she'll tell you her right name when I have her come up. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Lucio, and we'll get started. Thank you very much.
Hello. I'm just going to start the presentation just to show you the building. It's our proposed building. Right now, we moved the top with all the trees on the side as well as topsoil. As of today, at 11 o'clock, we started blasting some ledge on the side, which needs to be removed. That's the update of the status today. Can you hear me now? Okay. Thank you. Sorry, let me start again. I will present the proposed project. I'll just give you the status of the project right now. They removed all the trees on the site as well as the topsoil. And it's up to 11 o'clock this morning, they started blasting because there's the existing ledge across the site which needs to be removed. So the project, this is basically the location of the project. It's on Veterans Memorial Drive. It's number 40, which is above Eden Place. I don't know if you're aware of that, which is a 50 units affordable housing. Our project would be 60 units affordable housing, but it's on the same, it's above the site of Eden Place.
What address again, I'm sorry?
40,
40, what?
yeah, Veterans Memorial Drive.
40 Veterans.
This is just a location. On the top, you can see the technical school. On the bottom, Eden Place, and also the off Panther Way. There's a Veteran Memorial Drive that connects it to Arundecoy, which is a residential neighborhood up above. This is the existing site. Again, it was wooded site. It was, so there's there's outcrops of ledge and topsoil, basically. That's just what the existing site looked like, and you can see Eden Place on the bottom. This is the proposed project. Again, you can see the relationship of Eden Place. It's a larger project than Eden Place. Eden's 50 units, this is 60. And there's a variety of, there's 1-bedroom units, so 48 1-bedroom units and 12 2-bedroom units. The sizes I will go on the next slides. This is just to show the impact that this project will have on the property. We'll use all screens on the lights and take precaution not to spill lights on the adjacent properties. Okay, the ground floor, it consists of the business area as well as residential units. It will have a meeting room with a full kitchen, commercial kitchen. We'll have business offices, laundry, as well as a computer room and a library. The rest, and mechanical space, and the rest of the units basically consist of 1-bedroom units and 2-bedroom units. The second floor is all residential except in the main laundry area. There's also a salon that people can use. Like a hairdresser can come in and take care of whatever the needs are of the tenants. Third floor is similar to the second floor. Again, it's all residential with a couple of spaces of community spaces. Now the units itself, the 1-bedroom units are 688 square feet, one bath, in the living area, and an open kitchen. The 2-bedroom units is 888 square feet, one bathroom, and they also have an open area kitchen and a living space. This just the roof plan, just to show the scope of the project. And these are different renderings that you can get a flare of what the project is going to look like. The top one is looking at the main entrance, which is a canopy prepared for inclement weather. And then it'll be all clapboards and windows, which are hopper. I don't know if but it's just operable on the bottom and fixed on the top. Again, this is looking at the rear of the building and on the side of the building. That's just perspective, just to take different views of the area. And that's the overall bird's eye view of the project.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Lucio. Did want to clarify, sorry, how many bedrooms are here. There are 54 1-bedroom units and 6 2-bedroom units, okay? Yeah, Lucio kind of did the arithmetic. There are 3 handicap units within that, and they're all 1-bedroom units. We do have community housing funds that are tied to that in regards to financing. So we work through Mass Rehab Commission in terms of people from Franklin who need this kind of disability unit and management will talk more about that later on as it goes forward. Also, I did want to say that these are the maximum allowed units size that the state allows. So the 660 for one bedroom is larger than what Eaton Place has, which is 540. But then the 2-bedroom units are 880. That's 10% more than what the normal project is. So these units give us, the architect, much more flexibility in its design, and that's what we try to accommodate for, knowing that this will be a long-term commitment to the Franklin community, hopefully well past my lifetime and well into 50 years, 60 years, and so forth, as a senior, 100% senior housing project. With that, I am going to turn it over to Dan, who's going to speak on behalf of TCB Management and go through briefly the overall concept of how this project will be managed once it's completed, and some of the questions that you probably have. Again, wait for Dan and the team to finish their conversation with you, and then you will open it up, and whoever you, please ask who you're pointing the question to, and we'll try to get you an answer. If not, we'll get back to you later. Okay, Dan.
Thank you. Okay, so can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
Right. So as John said, this is 60 units, 100% senior living. There's going to be multiple different programs at this property. It's going to be 100% tax credit. So of those tax credit units, there will be 44 of them. I want to make sure because I had an error on my document. 44 of them that will be restricted at 60% AMI. Then there will be 4 units that are restricted at, 6 units that are restricted at 50% AMI. Those particular units will either be through the MRVP program, Massachusetts Rental Voucher Program, or the PBV, both of which will be administered through RCAP Solutions. They're based out of Worcester. I think they're still in Worcester. And then the other units, there's a total of, hold on one second, I'm going to do math. 16 units, no, sorry.
Yep, no, total 16.
Total 16.
12 are at,
Thank you. 12 of them are at 30% AMI, and that is, those ones are the PBVs.
yep.
Yes? Thank you. I'm gonna explain, sorry. I know I use a lot of acronyms and sometimes I forget that not everybody knows what those are. AMI is the area median income, and it is based on household size. We can give you what those limits are right now, but they are subject to change. They change every year. By the time that we actually start the leasing process, they will have already changed. They change every year around March or April. And it typically goes up, and it is based on whatever analysis that the state does as far as the average income out there. MRVP, as I said, is a Massachusetts Rental Voucher Program, and then PBV is a project-based voucher program. Essentially, it is a form of Section 8. It's a subsidy that comes with it, and that's an income-based rental system. So that means that as your as your income changes, so does your rent. I know that there's probably going to be some questions about what that calculation looks like. I know that the assets are always a common question. I will absolutely give you the details on that. There is no limitation on assets, just so everybody is aware, because I know that was one of the questions that came to us beforehand. As far as qualifications go, it's based on your income for all of these programs. So as long as you're under the limit for those 60% AMI units, and you can actually afford the rent, you will qualify. And then for the other ones, the 50% AMI and the 30%, as long as you're under the limit, you could have zero income and still qualify. We will be, TCB will be qualifying you for the tax credit program, because even though those units have the MRVP and the PBV, they are still tax credit as well, so there's some layering there. So we will be qualifying 100% of everybody who is coming into the building for the tax credit program. RCAP Solutions will be qualifying for they will do the rent calculation for the MRVP and the PBV programs. So there is a little bit of a duplicate process for those particular units. And just to reiterate, there's only 16 out of the 60 that actually have that subsidy. The LIHTC rents, again, those are set by the state, so there are rent limits. We can't go above those limits unless there's a subsidy attached to it. So people with tenant-based vouchers, you will qualify for one of those LIHTC, one of those 60% AMI units. You can bring that, you can port that to the site. And in those examples, that's the only time the rent would ever go above what the limit is, because it's not impacting you. It's only impacting the agency that's administering the subsidy. What else? The paperwork there's a lot. There's a lot to it because of these programs. And my team will do their best to make sure that it is as smooth as possible. I know that when you're going through the affordable application process, it can be very invasive because we're asking for all the, verification of all the income and all your assets. We have to have identification. There will be a background check that's done for every single one of the residents. And so it is a lot, but the benefit of the rental subsidy or the 6% AMI rent limits is definitely worth it, because once you're in, you as long as you recertify on an annual basis, don't violate your lease, and are able to afford the rent, you can live there as long as you want to live there, and as long as you can afford it. So as far as actually applying and getting in, I'm going to bring up Myrith so that she can give you a little bit of a general idea as to what that process is going to look like, and or some of the timelines. We're not going to give you the exact dates because obviously it's dependent on the construction progress and how things play out. So, but we'll give you a general idea as to when you could expect that we're going to start to market the building, when you can expect to start, an opportunity to actually apply, and so on and so forth. So, Myrith, and she can tell you how to actually say her name.
You. Hi, I'm Myrith. I'm the Senior Director of Leasing and Marketing. My name is actually Myrith Marrero Borja, so thank you, I appreciate it. To start off, in terms of qualification, what the application process will look like, when will you get more information about the community, right? So we are anticipating the community to be ready next year, likely late spring, early summer. So it's usually about 6 months back that we start, preparing for marketing. So you'll start seeing newspaper ads about 4 months before TCO, which is pretty much when the project will be ready for people to move into. So timing, right? At the end of this year, it's very likely that we'll know more specifically when the timing will be in terms of when people can move in, and we'll have a better idea of timelines. Usually what happens, we'll post the website, and the website will have all the information that you need in terms of income limits, when the application process is going to happen, when we open up the period in terms of accepting applications. And if we have anybody who's interested beforehand, we'll be receiving all the interested leads, and we'll contact and send out emails and letters to everybody, and letting them know, like, hey, we have the website open, and we'll be opening the application at a later date. So usually it's a website, but then the application date is at a later time. So we are required to do a lottery on this project. And I know in the past, maybe some of you have had some exposure to lotteries where you're picking out, you apply during a deadline and then you're picking out the numbers. It's a little different nowadays. Right now we do the lottery online. It's a virtual lottery system. It's done on Zoom. However, we always offer an in-person viewing, right, for the lottery. So you'll be able to see how the lottery functions and ask any questions, but it is an electronic randomized lottery. So just going back 2 steps, right, and just making it super clear in terms of timelines, right? I'm gonna repeat that one more time. It's really hard to give you exact dates just because we don't know the exact date of when the property will be open, as we know the nature of construction. But let's just assume that this is the official date and this is what happens, right? We will get the community end of spring or early summer. Let's just assume that. If that's the case, you'll likely see a website go live around January, I would say January 2020. We're in 2026? Wow, 2027. So we'll have a website go up January 2027, I would say. That's where we'll be announcing when applications will open, when we'll start accepting applications. Newspaper ads will go out, and I can probably tell you the newspaper ads. If you like to read the newspaper, this is where you can find the information as well. It is through, I think, the Franklin Town Observer, something like that. So newspaper ads will go out as well, just announcing it, and the Country Gazette as well, Franklin Observer and Franklin Town News. Those are some newspaper ads that we'll be putting out, letting people know that the application period is opening. So website will have the information, and as well as newspaper ads, and some community contacts will get that information as well. If we have inquiries that come in while the website is up and going, and I know you guys are doing some sign-up sheets right now, TCB will receive that information and will send out letters or emails letting you guys know, hey, the website is up, we're going to be accepting applications at this date, right? The application period is about 60 days. Sometimes it's a little more than that, but never less than that, so just keep that in mind. And we do accept applications via online or in person, or you can mail in an application. And you can always call in and request for an application to be mailed to you. That is not a problem, free of cost. And as long as the application is postmarked by the deadline, even if it comes in after the lottery, if it's postmarked by the deadline, so the postage stamp says the date by the deadline, we will still accept the application into the lottery. We don't have an exact date for the lottery yet, but it's usually about 1 week to 1.5 weeks after the deadline that we will host a lottery session. Again, we'll send out emails and letters to everybody that was accepted into the lottery. And just keep in mind, the application process to get into the lottery is very simple. It's just a 2-pager. It's asking for household income, household size. Do you qualify? Because it's just seniors 62 and up. So we do ask those questions, and there is a local preference on this project as well. So if you are either employed, or if you live or have kids going to school out here, then you would technically be qualified for the preference itself. So we will pretty much screen locals first, and then we'll screen people that are not locals. But in the lottery itself, we pretty much do just one pool altogether, and then internally TCB takes that week, right, to just sort the lottery, create the wait list based on lottery number, needs for accessible units, that's also a preference, and then also like local. It's self-certified, right? So we're not going to be asking for those documents during the lottery period. To get into the lottery is very simple. You just have to make sure you sign it. Whether it's electronic signature or in-person signature, as long as it's signed and fully completed application, you will be entered into the lottery. There are no requirements to get into the lottery. Anyone can apply. The screening, right, that Dan was speaking of in terms of checking your household income, checking household size, ensuring that you qualify for the tax credit program, that happens after the lottery. So after we've announced the lottery numbers and we've given you those information via email or letter, then we'll start the screening process based on the internal wait list that we have that's sorted by local preference, people who need accessibility units, and then the open general audience. And we will pretty much go down the list based on availability, contact people. We usually give you about 5 to 7 business days to respond. And all you have to do is just respond, right? You just have to let us know, are you interested? Do you want to continue with the application process? And then once we reach out to you, you respond to us within the 5 to 7 business days, we'll be able to go ahead and start processing your application, and we'll go from there.
And just so you know that once the lottery closes, we're not going to accept applications at that time, but beyond that, we will be marketing for first come, first serve if we need to do so. So if we don't have enough applicants from the lottery process to fill the building, we will open up our marketing, we'll advertise for first come, first serve, and that's just as it's stated. Like whoever comes in, we will process the application just until we get 100% occupied. And anybody remaining on the lottery that was not housed during that process, that is our wait list that we will start. And the wait list stays open until we advertise that it's closed. And so that way, if anybody misses it or is not ready and wants to get on the wait list thereafter, once we're 100% occupied, you just come in, you apply, and you'll be placed on the wait list, which we will periodically assess on an annual basis, reaching out just to make sure you're still interested.
Well, there you go. You guys got all that? I don't. And I've been doing, this is the 12th project I've done in senior housing. But the bottom line here is these guys are experts. And the fact is they know this process backwards and forwards. They will help you through the process, and that's what, you know, that's what you should be assured of. But you have a big part to play in this. Applications, full applications, have to be provided in order for them to process what you have. And they'll give you the time frames for all that as they are, you know, quickly ran over. But the bottom line is, don't wait. Start to put your, if you're really interested in Franklin Ridge, start to put that information, general information together. And when they do come and make the advertisements, you'll have at least some of the basic information. You could probably guess what some of that is. And as we have another meeting down the road, that'll get more detailed. So I did want to clarify a couple of things on the design. We have 2 elevators in this project. So it's an elevator project for those like me who have knee problems and other problems on the, you know, getting upstairs. Rest assured there's 2 elevators in this project. And there's 65 parking spaces associated with this project. This is on 6.5 acres of land. It's adjacent to Eden Place, and these lovely people here also manage Eden Place. So effectively their team has a great understanding of this area as well. So with that, I don't think I missed anything, but again, all the detail, you'll understand it, probably become an expert by the time you get through the application process. But at this particular point, hopefully it gives you a flavor of what we have to go through on our side. With that, I will open it up to questions, and you know, depending, just tell me who you're asking, the architect or the management team. Hopefully no questions to me. That would be appreciated. Okay, first question.
Actually,
You got 3 questions.
I have 3 questions for you.
First question.
They're very simple. First question, is there community space within the building?
Okay, architect, up here.
The answer to the question is yes. There's a meeting room, and there's also a kitchen associated with it. And yes, there's a meeting room you can use.
All right. The second question, is there preference to Franklin residents? I couldn't understand that.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes. There is a preference to Franklin residents. 70% of our intake at Lisa will be specifically reserved for Franklin residents, assuming that we have 70% of those residents actually express interest.
Okay. And the last question I just had was, does every apartment get an assigned parking space, or is it general?
I'm gonna answer that, Dan.
Yeah, I'm not going to commit to that. Typically in my experience, that's something that we react to. What's how many cars are we talking? Do we have enough spaces? If there is, chances are we try to shy away from reserved parking spots so that, people don't get in the habit of saying, you're in my spot. It's just more to manage. So if we don't have to, we're not going to put reserved spots. But if it becomes an issue, we can react to it. So
So you have 60 units and 65.
that's what I heard.
Okay.
60 units, 65 parking spots, just so everybody heard what she said.
And there's a number that are handicapped, so they would be close. They would,
And handicap spots cannot be reserved anyways. Anybody with a handicap placard can park in a handicap spot. Just that anybody with a handicap placard can park in a handicap spot. They're not reserved, so.
Right. If people look at what Eden Place has 50 units and they have 60 parking spaces, right? So it kind of, because the model, Lucio did the Eden Place, he designed that one as well. So the model is pretty much, kind of look around the building. It's not like this where it's all out there, but it's around the building. So everybody will have access to, entries, the back. Next question. Let's go with, just go here. I'm
Are
sorry.
utilities included?
Great question. All right, I told you, no questions from me. But the bottom line here, I pay, the development team pays the electric here. And why? Because electric prices are going up. But we have heat, air conditioning, split units. That's the greatest thing that's come out in terms of efficient units that are in the units themselves. But we also have solar here. So we're going to be putting solar panels on the building to make it efficient, and we sell that excess energy to the national grid in this particular case. So that'll happen shortly toward the end of the construction and into occupancy. So that you'll be seeing some of the construction maybe of those solar units being put on the roofs. So we're hoping, and this is the requirement of the state at this point, that these projects all be electric. And so that hopefully answers your question. Yeah, the elements are heat, air conditioning, and common areas. Water is separate in terms of what we pick up anyway. So water and sewer are our responsibility anyway. So what the rent structure is on this particular project, your rent and why it might be, what it is because we're already picking up all those utility costs. So it's pretty significant over different projects that we've had in the past, but this is, for clean energy and for many other reasons, the way the state over the last few years has been doing these type of projects.
So we're doing what utilities are?
You don't have to worry about utilities. That's the bottom line is it's my responsibility, but it will reflect it in a higher rent in order to make the financing work. But the bottom line here is that we're doing this on the basis of the fact that we're doing all these steps, efficient split units, as well as solar panels on the roofs that basically will offset some of that utility cost for us. So from your perspective, you don't have to worry about that. Basically what you're going to be told by management is what your rent is, and that's it.
So to answer your question, all utilities are included in the rent.
Say that? Okay. You asked me the question, you should have asked Dan. Go ahead.
I would like to know, in regard to the application process, can you have a home?
The question is, can you have a home? And I think what she's saying is, can you have any real estate in your name? And the answer is yes. Real estate is handled as an asset, And what you do with that asset will determine how it affects your calculation. So if you have a house and you decide you're going to retain that house, we have to determine, are you going to rent it out? If you're not planning on renting it out, what are you going to do with it? You can just hold on to it as an asset. It'll stay as an asset. The way we calculate the value of that is, what do you owe on it? What is the cost to keep it? And what is the market value?
How about if I sell it?
If you sell it, to take that same model that I just said, is what do you owe on it? What's the market value? What is the cost to sell it? So at the end of the day, what are you going to get out of selling it? Now, if you already sold it, what did you do with the proceeds? Now, if you took the money and you just put it in the bank, it's captured in the bank. Then now it's part of your assets in that regard. If you actually sold it and maybe gave the profits to your child, now that is where we kind of get a little bit tricky, because we have to count it as a disposed of asset for less than fair market value. And what that means is it just stays as an asset for 2 years until after the date of sale. So assets have very little impact on whether it's the subsidized units or just the straight 60% AMI units, because the income that you have from it, or the value is only listed at an imputed interest rate of 2%. So, I mean, you could have an asset that's worth $1 million, and you take the 2%, and that's the value. Now, it's not going to significantly impact your actual income that we're calculating on. So, it's a complicated question, but to answer your question, just pointed, you can have a house.
I just wanted to make sure I
Yeah.
didn't have to sell it and live over a great big Boston.
No, you don't have to sell it, but we do need to know what you're doing with it. If you hold on to it and it does produce income, the income that it produces minus the cost to actually operate that will count as income in our calculations. But you can absolutely keep it.
I have another question also. How long, it's not finished being built yet, right?
No.
No, it isn't. So how long is that anticipated for? And then after that, what is the average amount of time it will actually take with all of this process, the lottery and everything, to actually get in there? Because some, places you go, it's a 2.5-year thing. Franklin, they get their own housing, it's like 10 years.
I'm going to answer if you don't mind. Yeah, I think that we're thinking spring.
Okay.
Could you repeat?
Yeah, the question is, when is actually the project going to be completed? Here we are over 18 months away, or around 18 months away, and you're asking us a question on construction. But also on the management side, which they did mention that they're starting their marketing within 6 months of that. So we meet with them periodically, giving them an update where the construction stands at that particular point. So a projection rise late spring, probably June or so, that we ultimately will have if everything goes well, we'll have a CO, a certificate of occupancy, and they'll have all been in the process of getting your applications and that process well together in terms of allowing you to move in when we're ready to hand it over to them. So that's the process. Again, it's not perfect. For those who might have had some construction or management experience, you will probably support my theory that we can't tell you exactly today. We will tell you when, and the key here is when they start advertising, that they know pretty well where we stand in terms of the construction.
And at that point, that's when you'll get an idea as to how long it will take on average to get in.
Now, she's asking him what would it take on the average. I'm going to pass it off to Dan, but real quickly here. On the issue of having your application ready, signed off for all the parties that are involved in this process, and ready to go, where you then just are moving in and just waiting for us, then I encourage you to do so and get a unit. Don't wait, because they'll, they kind of go like this in terms of units initially starting, then all of a sudden people wait for some reason, holidays, whatever, and then they all of a sudden say, oh, and by that time, other units are being occupied, and ones that you might be considering are no longer available. So we encourage, and for our benefit, to fill the building as quickly as possible. I'm turning to Dan to answer the other part of that question.
The other part of that question is how long is the process to actually go from we started our application to actual move-in? Now, obviously, that's dependent on when we get TCO, but what I can say is that our application process, assuming that you're talking straight 6% AMI, is, it could be as quick as a couple of weeks, or it could be as much as a month. It depends on the circumstances of the application. How many assets do we have to verify? How many, what's the income sources? Are you coming with the documents, or are we waiting on the documents to get there? So we will keep up communication with all the applicants, both in terms of what, timing of when do we need the documents, or what do we need, as well as, what are the updates we're getting from construction. So once you start that application process, and let me just rephrase, not the application to be placed on the lottery, but the actual application process. We've contacted you, you've already been through the lottery, you're at the top of the list, and we're saying, come on in, let's start that, verification process. That's what I'm referring to.
Okay,
So.
I'm talking about like, once you get into the lottery. Once you're in the lottery, how long does that take for you to get like a call, like a time? Like 2
It's gonna you gotta give us a couple weeks to sort through it, because there is some stuff that we have to do behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But, as soon as we are like, okay, we know this is our expected TCO, we've already done the lottery, within a couple weeks, you should be hearing from us.
Okay, so it's not gonna take 10 years to get in?
Well, no, it depends on where you are on the wait list. If for whatever reason we get like 1,000 applications for this, and your number 1,000 as opposed to number 1, then yeah, it could take some time, because we only have 60 units to fill, but in theory, it shouldn't be that long.
Yeah, and just clarify, this is the initial occupancy of the building, okay? Then we create waiting lists once it's all full. And therefore, that's what you're talking about, the 10 years of the public housing side, or different types of, projects that I've worked with these gentlemen and others, and these people, like Mission Springs has a waiting list. Eaton Place has a waiting list. So that's why I'm saying, get your application in if you're really interested, get qualified, get ready to move in, and then you're one of the lucky ones that get into Franklin Ridge. The rest then end up on a waiting list. And that waiting list is really dependent on how many units move out once they're in. And so that's the key. And I will still say that, this is your opportune time if you're interested. You want to say anything?
Just highlighting real quickly in terms of your question about timing after the lottery. The nice thing about the lottery is we do send out letters and emails within a week of the lottery, so you at least know your lottery number, right? And so you'll at least get that information. Say we did get 1,000 applications, right? And you are number 1,000, yeah, you're right. You might not hear from us for a while, right? And there's a possibility you might not even get a unit that year, right? So just to give you some idea in terms of timing, another thing is in terms of like application timing, it is very important that you are checking your mailboxes and your emails, checking your spam. If you want to call in and check in, that's completely okay to ask where you are on the lottery list, especially because we are considering preferences in terms of local preference versus non-local, depending on where you fall. You could definitely check in on the location of where you're at on the wait list. We also offer 2 informational sessions during that application period, in that 60-day period. And in that 60-day period, the 2 informational sessions, there's one on the weekend in the morning, so you guys make it, and then there's also one in the evening during the week. In the event there's people who's working, you can come on by, and this is your opportunity to ask additional questions about the application, what supporting documents you need to be prepared for when we do start contacting people from the lottery.
All that information will come to us if we have.
Absolutely, we will be as transparent as possible with you.
If we have signed up on that piece of paper,
Mm-hmm.
okay,
Mhm.
that opens the door for me to get all of this information.
So the question,
But you'll get more information. There's a lot of people that want to ask questions.
This is that sheet that I put out there is the first step for us to know who's interested. Again, It's part of your responsibility to work with this team to inquire. And for a bonus, I just throw in, a model unit will be set up for this project as well. And that model unit will be probably about 3 months before completion. And so you'll have an opportunity to even look at the unit, a typical unit as it's laid out by our famous architect. So, again, excuse me. I'm sorry, yeah, you'll have it.
What's the clarification? At the application process, right? Would that be
I said right. It's the first for me. Okay, yes.
I just want to verify if I understood correctly. Did you say that there were only 3 handicapped apartments?
Yeah, the question was how many handicapped units? We're required to put 5% of the units as handicapped. And I'm going to turn this to management. This is a kind of accommodation issue, right, in the application process as well. But the 3 units are set, and there's 5 sensory units, of which those 3 handicap units are sensory. That's for hearing and so forth. So they have some special elements within that design as well. There's 3 of those for handicap, and the sensory, there's 2 independent sensory units as well. But in regards to once those units are filled, I'm turning it to Dan.
So once those units are filled, if you do have requests for special features, we would go through what's called a reasonable accommodation process. So there'll be paperwork, which actually is part of the application as well, that you can fill out in advance so that you can say, this is a feature that I would require. And depending on what it is, and it goes through a committee. Like we don't, like Myrith and I are not the ones that are going to be making a decision on this, nor are the site team. It has to go to a committee, and assuming that it's not something that's obvious. It's something that's obvious. Like grab bars, you don't have to go through that process. Just ask us, and we can accommodate for something like that. But if you do require features, and we can make it happen, we will go through that process. If not, and you require an actual ADA unit, and you didn't get in, you want to get into the building, you could, or your circumstances changed after you moved in, you could also do a reasonable accommodation for a transfer. But keep in mind that there's different types of programs here, so obviously if you are one of the MRVPs or PBVs and the ADA is, one of our ADA units is not part of that program, that it can get a little complicated with that. So.
Did you say that they were 1-bedroom units only?
All 3 are one.
Yes, they're all 3 of the ADA units are 1-bedroom units.
So those are the only ones that have a roll-in shower, the others have tubs and stuff?
The 3 have rolling showers. The other ones, they do have a little lip, but it's like a 4-inch lip. It's not.
4-inch left, so it's
Yeah.
not a tub.
They're not sort of top. Not top.
Yeah, we've learned some lessons over the years. We used to put in tubs.
Yeah.
Now it's all showers.
All right.
Yeah, so you should be happy to hear that. These are the things, we do progress as time moves on. A couple of questions. Oh, I'm sorry, hold on a second on the.
I just want to mention for the lottery, the first preference for accessible units, it's number 1 is, people needing accessible units, right? You have to put that on your application. We will not consider you as a preference after the lottery for needing an accessible unit. You need to put that on your initial lottery, or I will not put you on the preference list. So just make sure when it asks, do you need a unit that's accessible, either mobility, hearing, vision, that you mark that. Because if you do not, there's no preference for you, and you can't change that once the lottery deadline is closed. So just keep that in mind, unless there's special circumstances, of course.
And again, I'm going back to the one clarification. We have funding that relates to Mass Rehab Commission, and we do go through them first in regards to initially filling those units. So we're getting that a little bit farther as we go forward. Okay, let's see, you had your hands up.
How will we know when the initial application process begins? Is there an information sheet? Is there something on my table? Did you refer to?
Now I'm gonna give Dan that question, right? Oh, gonna give it to you, okay.
There are sign-up sheets for, like, if you're interested.
Yes.
So if you haven't seen one, just grab one off the other table and take an open spot for it, fill it out.
Yeah, we don't have.
Yeah, so make sure you fill out those sign-up sheets and you'll get an email pretty much or letter letting you know, hey, application period is coming, right? So it'll tell you in advance, it's a 60-day application period. On top of that, there are newspaper ads that will go out twice within the 60-day period. It's one of them was the Observer, the other one, I have to look again, but let me see real quick. Okay, Franklin Town News, Country Gazette, and Franklin Observer. Gazette is gone. Okay, so Franklin Town News, Franklin Observer, and there's also going to be posted on Housing Navigator as well.
Is there another publication that?
Yeah.
Franklin Matters.
Franklin Matters.
Oh, yeah.
Is there one all about Franklin too?
Yeah.
Because they were on that as well.
That's Facebook. Franklin Matters.
That's Facebook.
So there will be newspaper ads that go out. Anyone who signs up will send out emails and letters. There also will be a website, and we have community contacts, and I believe this senior center will be receiving a flyer or poster with that information as well. So you can always stop in and look at that as well.
Next question, these people have, go right ahead.
I have some questions for the developer.
The developer, let me get him. Oh, it's
Not
me.
the architect, the developer.
Sure.
I live in Highwood Drive.
You live on,
Highwood Drive.
okay, so you're one of the condo?
Right, and I think it's building 20 that is closest to where you're going to be. They have been clear cutting trees behind the skating rink all the way up to the border of our property. Is that you? Or is that the
No one else here but me, representing the developer.
Okay.
I know.
Seth,
This is, when we originally designed this, we were looking at, the site itself. But this site is a lot of ledge, okay? We're gonna, if you look around, that's really what's left in development world, a lot of sites with ledge. I would love to have kept as many trees as possible, but with all the regulations that we have, including water, and we have to get retention ponds and everything in
I just wanted to know
there.
if it was you.
It is me. Oh, that's all? You didn't want an explanation of why those trees disappeared?
That leads to another.
Well, it's me. End of story.
The next question.
Yeah, go ahead.
About a year and a half ago, we got notices because Tri-County building was blasting. And we got a notice that there's now going to be new blasting. Is that?
You got a notice from us?
No, it came from the management company, but they had received it from someplace.
No.
So let me propose it this way, let me ask the question this way. If in fact, you end up having to do blasting, do you do what they did with Tri-County, is they sent someone around to examine all of the properties that might be impacted
Yeah.
for pre and post for any damage?
Okay, there's two answers, hard for me to say, yes and yes. Okay, blasting actually occurred 11 o'clock this morning, our first blasting. So I don't know if, but bottom line here is we have about 2 months of blasting and removal of that ledge. So that basically, I don't know where you got that opinion from or that letter, but blasting for us is part of life here for this development. Second thing, in regards to pre-blasting surveys, they were all done, including for the Highwood condos.
Okay.
So everybody got a blasting survey or pre-blasting survey. If they wanted to be contacted before a blast, they had to send a text to our blasting people and so forth.
Third question is, where's the traffic gonna go?
Where's the traffic gonna go?
Well, are you gonna come down Veterans Memorial and onto
Yes,
the way to get out?
the project itself has Veterans Memorial Drive, and you probably have seen the extension. You've been up there. And at the end of that extension is an emergency gate that only emergency vehicles will be allowed to come from the subdivision through. So if they have there's an accident on Panther Way or on Veterans Memorial Drive on your
They
end,
can get out.
then they can come through here. Safety is paramount for all of us. We put the gate there permanently. Only ones that have it are emergency personnel.
Only have what?
The key to open that gate. Sorry.
So traffic will be coming and going through Veterans Memorial Drive.
That's
And
right.
onto Panther Way,
Yeah.
along with the other new development down behind CVS and Max Roast Beef.
I know nothing of
Across from
that
the
one.
bus parking lot, will also be entering onto, going on Panther.
Well, that's our plan. That's what's been approved. So,
My last question is.
oh, you got enough? Okay.
Do you
What?
allow pets?
Here we go, management gets a question. We allow that?
We do.
I have a question about the calculation of rent. You said it was 60% of the AMI?
So the calculation of rent is only for the subsidized units, so the 8 MRVP and the 8 PVV, and that's all done by our cap solution. On our end, it's just, are you below the AMI? So when we calculate your income, is it below whatever the state?
The Boston Quincy AMI that you give us?
No, it's, well, I mean, we get it, yeah, for Franklin County, so it's the Franklin County AMI. Norfolk County, okay, Norfolk County. I mean, I'm speaking out of turn right now, but like, it's all online. Novogradac posts it, they post it every single year, and we will pull those. Those will be part of our marketing materials. So when we start to advertise that we're getting ready to accept applications, the income limits will be part of that.
Oh, okay, so we'll have, because
Yes.
the AMI right now is $115,000 for one person home.
Yeah, it's definitely not, this is not gonna align with Boston.
Okay.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'm very interested in rent. You know, you're talking MRI, PPI, whatever. I mean, is the rent gonna go up the way it's not subsidized, am I right? It's not subsidized.
Well, the 16 units are subsidized, so those ones will, it'd be, the 16 out of the 60 are subsidized.
But the others, say the others.
The other ones, the state sets the limits. Now, that doesn't mean that every single year we're gonna like cap it off. It's, well, however much it moves
But
will
we're not,
determine.
but we're not gonna go to 25, 3,000 like
No.
some of these other. you're-
Well, I don't know what the rent limits are right now, but.
Are we talking affordable?
No, it is affordable because, as you said, we work off, this is very regulated. And we work off of just like any affordable housing project, whether it's multifamily or senior in this particular case, or even special needs that has financing from the state. We have to adhere to that. No, there won't be large jumps from what we have published at the time which we are occupying to, those because you're at 60% of the median. So, and I know, try to figure out yourself, these are the experts. So I could tell you a number, but then you'll take that number and say, hey, John, 2 years ago, you told me.
That'll also be in our marketing materials, just so you know, like, we will also have the rents listed.
That's right.
We won't know what they are until it actually, like,
Yeah.
when the time comes.
But I mean, it's not gonna be crazy the way a lot of the other.
Well, it's right now, they're below what a one bedroom is in the area. That's how they're calculated. I can tell you that because I did the calculations.
And you
So-
say our utilities are included?
The utilities are included, that's why the rent is higher than you might, if I gave you all the utilities, which I'm rethinking, I'm only kidding. But it's because the utilities are built into that, now the operations have to manage. So it is, this is the day in which we have, the days of the older type of projects where the government, federal government was heavily involved. It's unfortunate, but they have moved on, and a lot of their programs are gone, which we always liked. But we have something that the state, to their credit, has stepped in to make as affordable as possible. And that's why we use tax credits, state tax credits, and all sorts of programs to try to offset that so that we can get as many Franklin residents, senior residents in there as possible. Other questions? Oh, wait a minute. Has anybody not had a question answered that they haven't been called on? Let me get you first, okay.
assuming it'll be smoke-free?
Yes.
And will there be snow removal? Snow removal?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, management is
He
full
asked
up.
if it is smoke-free, the answer is yes, we're smoke-free building, and he also asked if it will be snow removal. Yes, we will be doing snow removal.
Who will be doing this?
Management. Not me,
Well-
I'm not gonna go out there and shovel.
No. Well, we'll get back to you in terms of how that all works out. That's something that management will talk to you about if more you get interested in this project, more of the information they have in terms of that. I know you've been asking, go ahead.
Rent includes heat and hot water,
Rent includes heat and hot water.
so electricity, that's
The
all
electric,
covered.
I'm covering that, so when you look at the overall rent, it's whatever the rent is that they say, we say, when you come in and sign a lease, is the rent you pay. You don't have third-party utility costs from National Grid or from the water company. They come to management
What about
and we
cable
pay
and
them.
internet?
I'm sorry?
Cable and internet.
I'm sorry, you're on your own there.
Building wired for?
We will be wired for it. He asked if whether the internet, it will be wired for. We're doing, I think, cable 6 on this one. So it'll have plenty of cable service, but you work out your best deal, Comcast, Verizon, whoever you want, that's in this area. Okay?
Right in the middle here.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Is there washer and dryers in the
No, laundry rooms, there's gonna be laundry.
laundry rooms on each floor? Trash?
There is dishwashers. There are laundry facilities. There are not going to be laundry inside your units, but there'll be facilities on each floor. Yes.
And trash?
And trash. Yeah, trash chutes. Yeah, trash chutes. So, yes.
Is the management office going to be in
Yes, there will be a management office within the building.
24 hours or
What's that?
24 hours or
No,
not?
no, no. We won't be 24 hours, but there will be, on call. There will be maintenance on call, so we'll be responding to emergencies after hours and on the weekends. We will be. The office hours are Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5 p.m.
What's the name of the
TCB is the Community Builders Incorporated. That is what I am. Yeah, we're based out of Boston. We manage about over 15,000 units that spreads as far west as Minnesota is probably the furthest west we go, and as far south as North Carolina. Yes?
What about renter's insurance?
Renter's insurance will not be required, but definitely we will be saying you should get it. So it's not something that we can't force you to get it, but it's in your best interest to always have renter's insurance, and those one-off situations that happen, and it's better to have it and not need it than not have it and need it. So because anything that happens, we'll cover the damage that is part of whatever claim, but it's not going to cover your personal belongings within the unit. So.
And the laundry service that's on every floor, I'm assuming it's a charge card?
Yeah, it's a card system. We use, I'm assuming we're going to use them here, but we use Automatic Laundry if you're familiar with the company. Yes?
It's a curiosity question. Why did they build porches on these units? And the other question I have is
He's asking why did we not build porches? It just really, we had to cut to the point where we designed for all the codes, all the safety issues and so forth. And at one point, we just had to say, this is how much we can borrow and how much we can make this work. Unfortunately, I'd love to do that, carports, things like that, but it's just not real in this day and age with the cost of tariffs and cost of construction going up as much as it has. But this will be a facility that has all the modern elements and is meeting the current building and energy codes.
Anybody else?
Question. Relative to parking, it sounds like parking is kind of tight. Is there any accommodation for guest parking?
We're not gonna shut it off.
You don't want to hear my voice? We're not going to assign parking, so yes, guests will be allowed to park. If parking becomes an issue, we may have to react and adjust our model, but you know, it's a first come, first serve is what it'll be for now. Now, having said that, within reason. Because again, if residents are, if, you know, we have 65 spots, we have 60 units, if residents are saying, you know, I don't ever have anywhere to park and so-and-so has 3 cars, you know, you just talk to management and we'll address it.
Is there any community outdoor space?
Hold on a second. Yeah, you gotta understand,
No, we didn't. Thank you, Dan. I like her, or he died. Here we go.
gotta understand that in Lucio's presentation and so forth, this is 6.5 acres, so we tried to maximize what we could do within the project itself. Again, you know, the 65 units accommodated for all the units and then some visitor and staff parking. Management is working both projects in terms of Eaton Place and this. So again, there is some overflow. It's not perfect, but it's the best we could do on that one. Now I'm going to say something else. We touched base with all the transportation networks that are available. Attleboro Regional Transport has Franklin as part of their territory, and they will be providing van service for shopping. And then there's medical appointments. The senior center has great activity, you know, please use all these activities that you have here. And the bottom line is that they also have van service for medical appointments, and then there is van service for medical appointments that you can sign up for. So we kind of looked at that from that perspective as well. And our management people will encourage you to use those services as well.
Outside outside spaces, yes. There is outside spaces. There's actually a public garden that I believe is going to be shared between Eaton Place and Franklin Ridge. So, in addition to the landscaping. Just real quick on the services, I just wanted to also mention, which I don't think we've mentioned during this presentation, there's also going to be a community life contract that's attached at this property, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, yeah, social service coordinator. So that will be able to be available to assist with, you know, any services that you want to try to look into or apply for. So.
Third question, do you allow pets?
Yes, we allow pets.
What pet?
But there's a size limit.
There is a size limit. I think it's 35 pounds is the limit. So.
Dead on the cat.
Yeah, we don't want any 50-pound cats. In the back.
I missed the first 5 minutes, so we might have covered this. I was wondering, the developer and contractor, do they meet with any senior citizens to discuss what the apartments should have or not have?
Thank you, Tan. The contractor is at the end of the process in which we design. I will say that we've had a lot of experience. Lucio's 35 years, and he has worked on a number of senior housing projects with me, as well as other developers.
And I just asked, did you guys have anything to do with Eaton Place?
Lucio I was the initial, when I was working with community builders, I worked on the initial phases of that, and then Lucio was the architect of that. And I know that that's a little bit different on how it's laid out and the issues. We've all looked at the issues if they had some in Eaton Place, and we've accommodated for that so that hopefully it won't occur again. That's a great question, but the experience you kind of carry it forward as much as you can to get the best product you can. And it'll be a high quality product. Any other questions?
Is it going to be built very
Okay,
soon?
this woman has not had that. Go ahead.
I have a question about snow removal. When we had snow as high as what we're having now, and the vehicles have to move
the plower, management works with the plower. I'm going to turn this over to Dan, because it's a good question for him. But, snow removal is an art. And you're right, it's a tight site, and snow removal is one of the priorities that we do have in terms of getting people. If you've worked at, Eden Place or lived in Eden Place, you know that there's a process they go through. With that, I'm turning it over to Dan.
Yeah, there are areas where they can move the snow. So that was part of the design, is they made sure that there were spaces where the plows can actually put the snow where it's going to be out of the way, and that way it frees up, everybody being able to move their vehicles and get the rest of the parking lot plowed out without. No, there are locations that are up at Franklin Ridge. Similar to, like, Eden Place has I know that we, actually where the new road is, that was where we used to put our snow, so I think that we have found an alternative location for that as well, so. Go ahead.
Just a quick question. I heard when air conditioning was mentioned, that the common areas have central air. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes.
And the apartment,
Yeah,
units?
the split units have both accommodation for heating and air conditioning. They work most efficiently at a certain temperature, and management works with us and the tenant on how that's set. But you do have both accommodations for that. In the common area, same thing. We're using the same heat, air conditioning systems, okay? So the building, changing climate, we want to make sure that you're comfortable. I'm going to
Is there any storage on each floor for overflow if you have equipment and things like that?
Yeah, there is. The storage area. There is a storage area on each floor
On each floor?
that I can
Okay.
use.
But I'm going to be clear, there are no bins for tenants like in a lower level. We had to put the slab on grade. It means that there is no basements underneath these units. So again, where do we put our money? We put them into your units. Get the elevators in. Get everything that's important to the safety and welfare of you. So, okay, was there another question? Go ahead.
How is the management company paid? And are there any other fees that the resident has to pay that you haven't mentioned here?
First of all, management, they're doing this for free, so I understand. Oh, that wasn't the answer, Dan? Broke his heart. Okay, I'm going to pass that over to Dan. There are no additional fees as far as I understand from my perspective. What I've told you is all the utilities are covered by the development and ultimately through working with management, but the rent is yours.
Yeah, there's no extra fees. The only thing that we would ever charge a resident beyond their rent is if we incurred any costs as a result of neglect. We would only pass on the actual cost. And all that really means is, like, if you NSF, you get one free NSF, and then if you NSF again, whatever the bank charges us, we will pass that charge on to the residents. And even that is, I don't really see it typically. Like, we don't, I could probably say that with all honesty, none of my sites have charged any NSFs in the last year, so I'm not saying that it's not going to happen, but that's the only example I could think of. It would just be where if we incurred a cost as a result of neglect, it would be passed on to whoever's responsible for it.
Well, as an example, since the cars are out in the open and plowing is done, right? But is your management company clearing off everyone's car?
No,
So if
no.
someone is not able to do
Yeah.
that, which may be happening.
I think that would probably fall under the realm of a reasonable accommodation request, because you're asking to change, what we would normally do. At most of my sites, residents are responsible for clearing off their cars. If the guys are out there and, they see you doing it, they'll probably help you. But it's not our responsibility to clear off the car. As long as you're able to get the car cleared and then move it so we can plow that area, then you have a nice, clear, open spot to park in. I have had situations where residents did not do that, or they did not move their car, and then they wake up the next day and their car is still covered in snow, and, you know, the plow's already done, so now we have to actually make special arrangements for them to come out and take care of that, but we try to coordinate that with the residents. We try to be reasonable and make sure that we make it a painless, you know, situation. It's not easy. You know, snow removal is, especially where you're dealing with, you know, residents that may not be capable. So again, reasonable accommodation. That's what I would probably say. Anybody else?
Well, there are people on waiting lists for subsidized housing. Are they going to be excluded? Are they going to be contacted? Are they going, they might assume that they'd be contacted about this.
No. When it comes to subsidized housing, each property has their own individual wait list. Now, if you're talking public housing, we're not associated with it. So the only applicants that we would be considering are the ones that actually answer our ads, put their name in on the lottery, and then go through that process. If they're on a list somewhere else, that's between them and that other place, not us.
That list is not
No, it's not interactive. Subsidy is not a, I mean, unless you're talking like a public housing authority, there's not one master list for every single private landlord. The private landlords hold their own wait list typically, and that's the situation here.
Okay, so the word has to get out to these people. Are you doing that?
Well, our marketing will be, as Myra stated, it's within our affirmative fair housing marketing plan, and you know, we're required to advertise in certain publications, which we now have to change because we just learned that 2 of the publications don't exist anymore. And then in addition to that, we will have a website. So we're required to market to the general public. Anybody who is expressing interest on these forms, we will let you know that we're about to start our marketing. And then once you see the marketing, that'll give you the instruction on how to apply. Anybody who's on a subsidized list somewhere else, if they see our marketing and they apply, that is independent to what they are doing over there. So they can stay on that list, apply here, get in here, and then maybe they're down the road they get to number 1 on whatever list, and they might be moving, but they're not tied together. So anybody it's general public. We're not going to reach out to all the different housing authorities and say, hey, guess what, we got a new deal. No, we advertise to the public. Whoever replies, that's who's going to get the opportunity.
There will also be a banner.
There will also be a banner, she said. So we might ask, you know, town hall to put it above there.
Dan's picture will be on.
No, we're not. Any other questions? Yes.
I was wondering if we could have just one place here that has your flyers and your information, maybe our own bulletin
Yeah.
board, so we're not looking all over for things.
We will be marketing at the senior center, so yes, you will see some of our marketing materials here, assuming that Jillian is okay with that.
They can pick one spot that we have.
Thank
to
you.
look at.
Yes, in the back.
So I know you addressed this earlier in terms of what the income and needs are. I'm taking notes for somebody else. So I know I can't hold you to what that average mean income is. So how would I say to a friend or something, hey, I know you're under $50,000 a year. You maybe want to know about this project. When you say that AMI 60%, 40%, 30%, can you help me understand that from a general sense?
Yeah, I mean,
In terms of the means and income?
yeah, it's the area medium income, so each area will do their own analysis and they'll report whatever the average earnings are, and then they'll determine what that AMI is, and it gets posted publicly. So when we do our marketing materials, as I said, we will actually have those limits there so that it's clear as day. This is the max that you can get. So, you know, whatever that is, like, you can't go over it. If you go over it, then you don't qualify for the program.
Okay, so for now,
Yeah.
I just go and find that number for now.
Yes? Yeah.
Take 60% of that?
No. It'll actually, they actually post them at those limits. So if you just Google 60% AMI and then tell them the area, you can get those limits.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it changes every
year.
It does change every year, yes.
So what we see now is not necessarily.
Yes.
I get that.
Yeah.
I just
Can I ask a follow-up question about that?
Yeah.
So my understanding is people who qualify at the 60% AMI will have to pay a fixed rent, whereas people who qualify at the 50 or 30% AMI will pay a percentage of their income. Is that correct?
Yes and no. If they are going into one of the units that have that program through our cap solution, whether it's the MRVP or PVV, then yes, their rent will be adjusted based on their income. If they are going into one of the low-income housing tax credit units, which is the 60% AMIs, then those rents will be set, and yes, they will be, that's the fixed, it doesn't matter if their income goes up or down, they will be paying what that is. You're welcome.
You said you were going to be working around in here occasionally at the senior center?
Did I? I do not, not me, I do not work here.
We usually drop off flyers or posters, and so we will provide contact information so you know that we are leasing, and you can contact us and see where our temporary leasing office is, so you can visit us and we can go through the application process or give you information about our informational sessions or application deadlines.
Okay, the reason I asked is because I am a senior citizen and forms are just not my.
Oh, we can definitely help you with that. That is not a problem.
Yeah, we will help with the application process. When the time comes, our team will be they will help you along the way. They will guide you as to how to finish this process and get all the documents that we require.
Because we want you to be part of Franklin Ridge.
We do.
Well, thank you.
So but the importance here is that this is the team, and again, the time frame is 4 to 6 months before we actually open, that they will start getting that information out to you. And that's the number one reliable information. So even though we have a tremendous amount of help from the town, and they've been great, the senior center's been great, we'll use all those elements to help us. But the bottom line is these two people and their staffs that basically will provide you with the bulk of the correct information so there's no guessing, okay? And that will be later on when the project's farther along in construction.
How long is the lease?
12 months.
Yeah, it's 12 months, and then on an annual basis, you'll be required to recertify your income and assets. And that process will be starting 120 days prior to the the expiration of that lease. So we'll notify you and say, hey, we need to start the process of recertifying you. And all that is to just confirm that you still qualify for the program. Even if you go over, there are some circumstances. Doesn't mean that if you go over, you're going to have to immediately leave, but we need to make sure that we stay in compliance. And so, it's about 120 days before your lease expires, you'll be hearing from us saying, hey, we got to start that process that we did during the application process all over again. And then if you are one of the lucky ones that go through the MRVP or PVV program, same thing, you'll have to recertify with our cap solutions, although they may only do it once every 2 years, I can't recall. Some of them do, some of them don't. So you'll have to, there will be a representative from our cap solutions that will be assigned to you, and they'll let you know.
How long does it take, once the application is accepted and the building is done? Like, how long does it take you to get in? Like, a person has a house to sell, they have plenty of time to know in advance when they can go in?
Yeah, it's a loaded question, I think, that we kind of covered earlier, which is that's okay. She's asking about the time frame from when she starts to apply to when they can move in. Again, it depends on construction. If construction goes according to plan, and we'll keep communicating with all the applicants that we're working on. We'll give them updates and say, hey, just to let you know, this is our expected TCO, or this has changed and we think it might go, be this date. And then once we're able to move people in, we will be moving people in. Yeah, I mean, you got to figure that if you're actually at the top of that list and you're going through the application process, that as soon as we get TCO, we're going to move you in, regardless of whether or not you have a house. We're going to certify you, based on your current situation. We're not going to wait until you sell the house to certify you. Now, if you intend on selling the house, we will write the certification with that in mind. So, yes.
Now, there are only 65 parking spaces. Now, what happens with people that have home health aides coming today?
Yes.
Where are they going to park? Is there going to be designated parking set aside?
It's hard for me to really answer that question until we know how many residents come in with cars. Ultimately, the parking is not going to be assigned. So it'll be open parking, and we're going to try to maintain that unless we have to, adjust depending on the circumstances. But so theoretically, your home health aide should be able to park on the site, no problem. And I imagine that they're only going to be there for the time that they need to serve, and then they'll be, leaving, which will open up the spot for the next person. So.
Not that I want to give up the phone, mic to Dan here, but keep in mind, this is independent, not assisted living, not nursing home, not any of the other variations that you see all the time. This is independent senior living. So that's why each unit has a kitchen, along with all the other facilities here. We have a social service coordinator to coordinate and work with you on particular issues. Senior center is great in regards to a resource like that in terms of things that you need. But this is independent senior housing.
Okay, does anybody else have any? I know you've asked a lot, but I'll come right back to you.
Okay.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
Yes. People using wheelchairs and walkers, what type of flooring is
Oh, good question. Finally, the architect. Here we go. Step up there, young man.
What type of flooring? Yeah, there's it's plank system. It's the vinyl, so that easy for the wheelchair to. The carpet is carpet tiles just in the corridors, but it's the carpet tiles that's made for wheelchair use. It doesn't have a lot of fluff.
You're going to oversee the builder and everything.
Yeah.
So that, and the top, you're going to use good quality, not something
No.
with all the tariffs and everything.
No, that's-
You get your lumber.
Well, why are you handing it to me? The architect is going to be on the contractor's case. No, this is absolutely. And like I said when I started this conversation, this is quality independent living for seniors. And I have to answer to other parties as well, including my wife. So we designed this to meet all the codes, energy codes, and don't expect that you're going to luxury condo layout, but you will see that on their websites in terms of the layout for the unit, and then we have the model unit that you can inspect yourself. Go ahead.
How many access and exits are there on the lower
Another.
floor, the floor from the parking lot to the
He's counting. He's counting. I know you have a main out, just like Eden Place, and you have a back to a porch area that you will be using hopefully a lot in the summer, and then there are emergency exits as well. So if you're asking for a particular number, I'm going to put him off the spot and say that's a little, he'll be here. Yeah, the parking is in a circle. If you look at Eden Place and the parking and how they lay it out, it's pretty similar to ours. And it's in the plan itself there that shows that, but it is very similar to that.
Okay, so if you won't have to go halfway around the building in order.
You have the back entrance to go through, right? They go through the, yeah.
So the semicircular entrance.
There are 3 exits from second and third floor. There are well, if you come to the community room, there will be about 5 from the ground floor. The most park is in the back of the building, and the people can access the rear through the community room, or there's also additional entrances on either side of the building.
Where the elevators would be?
The elevator is right in the center of the building. Yeah, as you walk in, there's a lobby area with the elevators. And there's a stair opposite the elevator, which also you can.
Insofar as being able to see what furniture would fit where, is there like a digital example that you could give with,
We won't, yeah, we won't have materials like that as we get closer to the end.
Thank you, very informative, I appreciate it.
Okay, should we have any other questions on?
You know, this has been great, and again, we'll keep you up to date, and, you know, more information we get, more we'll pass along to you. So, oh, go ahead. Within the unit?
Yes, it's each floor has a storage unit. For management, but I don't know if they have a storage unit.
I think management controls that.
We try not to let that be used by residents, but I know that I think if my residents could probably speak to better. We don't use those storage units at Eaton, right? Yeah, no. The storage units are like, they're like utility closets, and that's why we try to shy away from letting residents use them, because there might be some mechanicals in there.
Wheelchair access.
Again, it's a great question. If you're really, you know, you get approved and so forth, I think that's the time, if you're living in a house or a condo or even a rental, you look at it, you know, if you're picking a one bedroom and, you know, you're gonna have 880 square feet. If you have double that where you're living currently, you might wanna consider about how to donate to your kids or whoever, donate to somebody, some of the furniture or other items. And then, you know, we'll have more information as you get into the process here to show you, you know, how your unit plays out. So that can help you out on the long term. But that's a great question, because a lot of people come in with the assumption that I can move everything from my house right into that apartment. Let me tell you how many complaints we had afterwards saying, told you, but, go ahead.
Well, just a comment. We do have a storage area for medical equipment.
You have storage here for medical equipment.
So, yeah, that's like management's, there was that.
The question is, will there be guidance as we had?
Yes, we will have a garden. They gave up their garden at Eden Place.
It was taken away.
Right, it was taken away for the road.
They're supposed to put them back.
Understood. And we carved out an area in which both Eden Place residents and Franklin Ridge residents will have this garden. It's bigger than what you had. It's going to be fenced in. We'll have water access and all those good things. So we did plan, and that's important. It's important to a lot of people, not just seniors, that there, you know, be that kind of facility. So, and it's actually right between Eaton Place and Franklin Ridge. Its location up in the front. So the answer is it's a community garden. Lucio will show it to you later if you're really interested.
Say up the front, you mean like halfway up the road?
It's right at the entrance. Yeah, we'll show you on the plan once we're done. There's a okay.
Do you have any slides with the layout of the one-bedroom, two-bedroom apartments?
Well, he did. Lucio, do you have that slide for the one?
The
Okay.
guys will get this area, yeah.
You had the floor plan, you had a slide with the floor.
We did
plan.
have a typical, typical layouts, typical layout for a one bedroom and a two bedroom. You had that slide. You missed to go back. There it is.
Okay, thank you.
So, I think we can wrap it up. I do want to ask Sarah if she has any comments that she wants to make. there are exciting programs I'm hearing from the senior center that they're going to have that you guys really want to try to attend. And I'd like her, if she has, put her on the spot here, but maybe she wants to talk about it just briefly. And I should have, before everybody left, kind of given that opportunity. But
no worries. Hello, I think I know most people in here, but I'm Sarah, I'm the director at the Senior Center. So I think when this came about, we've gotten a lot of different questions about how housing works, how lotteries work, how state affordable housing works, because there's all, like we've said, there's all different regulations for different places. So we want to bring in different groups like Kim's going to tell me, the Affordable Housing Trust. The Housing Authority, and then even our own planning department sends out different affordable housing, and just kind of in the social services realm, if anyone doesn't know, Susan Thatch, who's in the back, is our social services coordinator. So if you have questions, she can help too. We won't have the answers to everything, but we know where to get them. We're working with the assessor's office to kind of bring in information around taxes, different abatements. There's just a lot of different questions that we get, so we're trying to bring the information here. So we're going to do some speaker series, maybe some panel discussions, and particularly for this project, we're very excited. And so as they share information, we'll make sure that we push it out too.
Thanks, John.
thank you. And I see it's starting to flurry a little earlier than anticipated. So we're going to wrap it up today. I thank all our speakers here. Because they did give you a lot of information. I know it's tough to absorb all that. Don't worry. These guys are experts, unlike me, so they can give you the answers at the appropriate time. So bottom line is thank you very much for coming out and taking the time to meet with us, and we'll be talking to you in the near future.
This program was made possible by your Franklin friends and neighbors, good folks just like you. Thanks for supporting Franklin TV. And thanks for watching.